Hey y'all, and welcome to another day of VEDA. Today is April 21st, and today I thought I'd go ahead and go over some of the CALs that I'm currently in or a part of. Since there are so many of them, as I've mentioned before, I have my own forums group just for CAL related groups on my Ravelry forums section, because you can make different groups. And so that's what I have done, and since I'm a little, again, crunched for time and I don't want this to be super long, I went ahead and I think I made a list of the top 10, and by top I just mean that these were the top groups that were in my page. This doesn't mean that they're like my favorites or anything, it just means when I dragged them from one section over to the other, they ended up in the top sections, and there's not 10 groups in this thing, it's just the top 10 alongs that came up when I glanced over 4 threads. Anyways, so we'll go ahead and get started. Since I have a few that tend to have things all year long and are very inclusive of many projects, I went ahead and usually my start is going to be the first couple that have things that are all year long, which the first one would be the Geeky Girls, and their podcast is a mother-daughter team, and they have a different one for not exactly each season, but I think they're usually 3 months at a time. And right now they have the Sheepy, let's see, what did it say it was? The Sheepy Spring along. Sorry, I have my earpiece in for the computer, so if you hear a little clicking, it's probably me hitting the keyboard so I can hear what they are without driving you guys crazy with the screen reader. And I do have the links that should show up when I post this. I know the last couple days I haven't gotten my descriptions up, but I went ahead and put those right up away. I put those right when I was copying these to my list so that I would have that information right when I load this up tonight. The other thing that the Geeky Girls have started, this was a challenge that got started back in, I think it was November, December. Last year, the mom wanted to challenge her daughter to read each day, so now they are also doing a read-along, and this does not coordinate exactly with their other along. It is a month off, so like their along was March, April, May, and the read-along is April, May, June. So I am doing that. That's just reading 15 minutes a day or less, 15 minutes a day or more, and you can enter. She's giving a few prizes for people that read. It was like missing 1 day a month. You got entered in for certain prizes, and then you could miss more days a month to enter for other prizes, and everyone is getting a coupon and fun stuff like that. That is how I won the book that I am offering as a prize for the along. So I highly encourage that because I tend to read a lot, so that's a really easy one for me to put in. And she did mention in the last podcast that all you need to do is write 15 minutes plus. You don't really need to have the exact timing down. So I think that's what I'll do for this next one, because yes, I kind of made up times because I tend to read things all day long and can't really give you an exact time on anything. Then our next along will be in the Dreamland podcast group, and that is the Knit to Zero. This again is one of my favorite ones to do. I have won things from Silver before, again, because there is not, well, in this one there's not a lot of participation, which is why I have won things. In the Geeky Girls, there's lots of participation, so I'm kind of surprised that I win anything, but like the read along, there's not as many people that are actively doing that, so that's probably one of the reasons that I had a much smaller pool for that particular giveaway. And like I said, the Dreamland Knit to Zero, that is an all-year thing. She is drawing prizes every quarter. So she just rounded up the January, February, March, which is where I won my free patterns from. And like I said, I have gotten 2 of those, and I still need to claim 1. So if you have a great pattern idea for me that is under $10, I'd sure appreciate it. And yes, that was my screen reader of my phone turning off that you might have just heard. I'm sure you did because the speaker is much closer to the microphone on the phone than I am. Another one that tends to have something most of the time, but is a little different theme for different seasons of the year. Her tends to be from season to season, so the times are based on the season and not the month. And that's in the Relatively Crafty podcast group. And right now she is doing the Stuffy along, so that's just crochet or knit any Stuffy, and it doesn't really matter any other details, and that's what I need to get entered in. That's what I made the seahorse for the Melody Crochet decor along, and I made it to go into this Relatively Crafty along. And that's also why I have decided to enter in some other tests for the Stuffies, because I know I can enter it in at least into this to be entered for prizes. Oh, and then Melody's Crochet and Knitting is my next one, and her current one is the As Seen on TV. I think her group is the chatter, and then another group is for the finished objects. I don't remember exactly. I didn't go in and get the details. Like I said, I participated in the decor along, and so I haven't gotten or looked at a lot of the other information for the Seen on TV. I know it's things that you see on the TV and then make something to replicate what you have seen, but of course, since I am blind, I will probably look, if I decide to participate in this, I will be getting a pattern that is said that it is made to look like something on TV. So I may or may not be going in this one, but I think that would be another one that there's not a ton of participation in, so that might be another one if you're looking for something to get in on, which would be a lot of fun. Another one that has some things that are going all year long is the AnnaKnitter Podcast group. Now, I can't remember if she said that one of these has ended, but she did have an ornament along. I didn't see that one in her top threads, so I assume that one is still going on since it is ornament, and she said it didn't matter what season it was for. Again, I assume that one is going on, but I didn't see the thread for it, so I did not list it below. And then there was the treasure chest along, which this one is to pretty much make gifts, and anything that you make as a gift, you can put it in there. And then she had the finish that skein along, and that one might be the one that is now over. I know she drew prizes for one, but I can't remember if any of those were just a quarterly prize or if that one for the finish the skein along is now over. But that would be, again, in the AnnaKnitter Podcast, and those are some nice, fairly easy and good ones to get in on if you're just making things and need somewhere, or if you would like to find somewhere that you could put them so that you can get some credit for the things that you're creating. My next one up is the Penhook and Needles Podcast. This, again, is a mother-daughter team, except for they're a much more, I guess, mature mother-daughter. The other one is the daughter is the same, well, approximately the same age as my little sister, so she's just turned 18 and is graduating this year. And this one, the daughter is a fully functioning adult. I don't know exact age, but, you know, older. And this mother-daughter team run, currently they have 2 cows going on. One is an all-year-long cow, and this is the Tea and Tales, and that's anything that is either tea related or story related, hence the tales, or both. And then of course there's some chances for 2 prizes for certain designers and certain yarns and things. But that is one. I actually haven't gotten any entries into that one, but I do have at least the washcloth that I am doing will qualify for this one, as it is based on, it's made of something based from a storybook, or the design was created to go along with a book. So that one I will be getting into soon. And then the other cow that they are running, the mom has a daughter who is autistic, and so every year for, I don't remember how many years they said, it's been a few, they've had the Autism Awareness Cow, and that is for anything bright colored. And that is for April, May, and June, I believe. And so that is one I will be entering soon, as I am making my Stuffy in nice bright colors for that along, as well as I am making the washcloth in a nice bright color. So those will both be able to be entered in there. Then one that is newer to me, and I actually think I just watched her first podcast. I'm still very far behind in podcast watching, but is This Old Knit. And she has one going on all year long, but she is, again, drawing for quarterly prizes. And that is the Stash or Shelf Challenge. And basically what this is you need to either make something that comes from your stash or something that comes from a pattern that you can create, a pattern that you either own or one that you can borrow from the library. Or, of course, the ideal situation is that you can do both, use your stash and use something from your stashed library collection, and that I don't think has a lot of other restrictions other than those little key details. And actually, I found that one when I found that I was excluded from another group's along because I was crocheting, even though I had entered in that one and no one had said anything to me. I've kind of got a chip on my shoulder for that group, as they are still, so far, the only group I have found on Ravelry that has excluded crochet from part of their fun that isn't like a specific pattern. Because, of course, I understand if you're excluding people because it's a specific pattern, but when your idea is more of a general warm fuzzy feeling and you exclude crochet because knit is all that kind of gets on my nerves. But again, we'll avoid the soapbox. But yeah, I found that one because of just being frustrated that I couldn't enter into this other group's cows because they had excluded crochet. And then another one that has started up is the Yarn Journey Crochet Podcast. She has started a sweater along, or let's see, a sweater-a-thon, I think is what she called it. I did not actually put the name into my list. Sorry about that, guys. And hers is for any tops, but then she has said something in her podcast about them not being too lacy, so I had entered in my lacy swing cardigan, but I'm not sure if it qualifies or not. She hasn't removed it, and she never messaged me, so I'm not sure if it qualifies or not. And it's, I believe, only adult sizes, not children's sizes, that are going to count for this. But yeah, I guess you can always enter and see if it qualifies, because the rules do not specify that it can't be lace, but then she says stuff about tops and not being too lacy, so yeah, I don't know. I do love you, Holly, but I get a little confused in some of the rules. Okay, and that's all that I had. I don't know if that was 10 or not, but that's kind of what I tried. There are a lot, of course, that I am excluding for right now, and that's just because I need to go downstairs. We are having movie night, and I think my husband said we were going to watch some episodes of Lost in Space or something like that, which is just a series and not a movie, but we call it movie night anyways, because usually we have watched movies up to this point. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and get moving, and we'll talk to you later, guys.